right, tonight I want to talk about why Pulsechain is the most undervalued and best layer 1 blockchain in all of crypto.
It's undervalued because Richard didn't pay for any marketing.
Is that the best you got, Almighty?
That's every chain that gets any type of attention. Their founders pay people to promote it, and they pay advertising to put it on social media. So when you doom scroll, you see it, and we don't have that.
Let me come at you with a point on that one. Then we've seen obvious OA wallets bridge in. I think we're at like $40 million total of Pulsechain's existence and buy the chain up. Do you think that if he spent $40 million on advertising that we would get $40 million worth of buys?
No, but I would say half of that was with massively thick liquidity. So I would say that was irrelevant.
But it wasn't, because there were still sellers, right? That sold.
Yeah, for sure. But sellers on thick liquidity. Now he can move the needle with 20 million, 40 million. Insanely high, but he does it with 400K and cries.
Bro, I mean, look, if he took $5 million right now, he could put us damn near sac rate. Like it would literally just wick the chart up to like 4/5 of the sac rate or something.
Yeah.
But it would go down just as quick.
Yeah, but bro, then you're flushing the people out. He knows this. He's not stupid. He didn't cry fag because he was crying. Listen, he cried fag because he's making a narrative.
But
look, you guys sell. Millions. Pump it again. People dump Hex down 70% like 10 times, bro. Did he cry?
It, bro. You're ignoring the fact that Pulsex is at 1/10 of its sacrafice price, and he's been soaking up millions of dollars of Pulsex at this price, at 1/10 the price. Why give him an exit at 1/8 of the price, or 4/5 the price, whatever?
No, I don't think he should gigapump it. But he should consistently keep it going. He shouldn't just let it bleed and die all the time. Like, it has to be consistently fun. No investor's going to look at this thing and be like, oh, the only time it goes up is when, Richard buys, It should just be going up every day. And
yeah, but it might be that way now, but I don't think it'll be that way eventually, right? Yeah, like you have to look at it like this. It was a retarded move, and I feel like I can say this publicly because now Richard's acknowledged it. It was a retarded move to give Hexicans so when he did the sacrifice for Pulse and Pulsex, I sold my Hex into Ethereum and then sacrificed my Ethereum because I was afraid of what it would do to Hex in my staked bags. So I said, oh, I'm going to unload all of the value here. So then that way it's kind of preserved, right? So I know he wasn't going to sell Hex. So then I go, that's better for the next thing if I sell it into ETH here and sacrifice that. And I go, it was a retarded move to give people who were up hundreds or thousands of X's this value and then give them a multiplier on that value and then give them coins and then say, here's that value.
Well, at the time, it was just a transfer of Ponzi. It was a transfer of selling.
Yeah, but it was a transfer of Ponzi, but it was also added with a multiple. So you multiplied the Ponzi and you pushed it out further down the road. So the only way to solve that is to do it again. You either multiply the Ponzi and push it further down the road, or you let those people just get annihilated. And the reality is they've gotten annihilated, bro. We are at the point. If you are 90% down from your sacrifice, those people are annihilated, bro. There is nowhere else for them to go. How much money do we see coming over that bridge?
Well, and the lick, he rug pulled us. The lick got pulled.
Yeah, but he didn't even hold the lick. That's the crazy part. And I tell people this, I've told people this for years. Richard didn't put up any liquidity on Pulsex. He provided like $1. The funding wallet provided like, it wasn't even $1. It was much less. So with that said, it's like, if he can just tweak the ink ratio and adjust how much liquidity is basically on this chain because of that, then like the issuance rate of ink and the value of ink.
It was also his narrative.
He can manipulate it however he wants.
But it's his narrative is how he can control the chain. If he tweeted right now, I think Hex is the best coin, and blah, blah, blah. It's better than Pulse and Pulse. Everyone would be aping Hex right now.
Yeah,
and you could change the whole market.
Sure, but everyone would just rotate into Hex and it would just nuke everything else. And your value, if all of your value from Hex is derived from Pulse, you would just change the ratio. You wouldn't actually bring any value anywhere.
Exactly.
That's I kind of like, I think...
He made a big sloshy retarded system that he doesn't... what's crazy is the movie, right? The Hex movie. It was the... what's the guy, bro? The guy they interviewed.
Professor?
No, not the professor. It's the crypto guy, bro.
Clay
forgot.
Collins.
Eric Wall?
I think so. Clay Con. He basically said that this is a big social experiment, and Richard, if it works, it's going to be gangster, and if not, everyone's going to get robbed. And it is a big social experiment. It's like, hey, let me tie 5 coins together, launch a chain, give a bunch of people a bunch of money, pre with hex, and then let them sacrifice, get multiples, and then see what they do with the
You're
money.
giving people the authority over their own money and the ability to wreck themselves, and we've seen it time and time again.
Yeah.
So like, I think like, as much as like we all like to say, you know, all these things are bad, like I know my bag of coins, like I have 4 or 5 or 6 times more coins than I had when I sacrificed.
I'd hope so, bro.
But and I live off this, but like
Same.
I go like, how much lower can you go from here without?
It's like limbo, bro. How low
Don't say
can you
that.
go?
Yeah, but
how low
he stopped the
can
bleeding for a reason, right? Like ink was bleeding and hex was bleeding, and he saw that and he stopped it. And we've been, you know, to be fair, we've been
Well, I hope
trailing
so.
down.
It's all time low. I hope he stopped it. Damn.
Well, but what I'm saying is he stopped that because there was still money to be made. He killed off the ability for big participants to make money off the chain anymore. And what we've seen as a result from since he stopped the inflation of hex and ink, is what we've seen is just that those big participants have vaporized their bag.
For sure.
Because eventually, I assume he wants it to go up, and it'll be easier to go up when people have sold the lows.
Yeah, he doesn't care when it goes up. It could go up 3 years from now, and then when it does, he'll be like, "Ta-da! I did it! You rebuy it." That's the biggest scam in the world, bro. Like I could launch a coin and then wait 30 years and pump it 1,000,000,000,000x and be like, "You stupid idiots! You sold!" Like it's that's like retarded, bro. I don't know. There's no point.
That is like. That's definitely how he thinks. That is 100%
because
how he
he's
thinks.
in it for
He's got the
longevity. He doesn't care about.
Yeah.
But not entirely, bro. Because
Richard thinks he's going to reach this point in 10 years, and he'll pay for some medicine where he'll just live forever.
Yeah, think
and he'll
about
be like,
how
one
many
day.
tens of millions of dollars he's bought of the chain, though. Why would he do that if he thoroughly believed in that?
Listen,
you know
sir.
what I mean?
Because he can provide lick and then just pull it the other side.
Listen, Richie is going to inject a couple $100 million into Pulsechain. He's just cry-fagging for sentiment bleed, right? He's gonna do his thing. Why? Because he spent stupid millions of dollars on lawyers. He's already injected into the chain. He owns 90% of all the coins. You know, it's just about 2026. This next year, money printing is gonna happen. Ethereum's still 3K. Like, I don't know. I'm chilling. There's no point to be bullish on Pulsechain until after Ethereum is bullish and people care about Ethereum. Because Richard's main point is if no one's marketing for Ethereum, how would anyone care about what Pulsechain is? So you have to see Ethereum do well, Ethereum market, Tom Lee acquire everything he's going to acquire, and then Richard can then dump on Tom Lee. So that's really all that matters.
I think you needed to get a majority of participants. This is why it's the most undervalued, right? Is because you needed to get what would be hundreds of millions of dollars of real value sacrificed, basically washed out of this chain. And we're at a point now where, you know, if we're at what is Pulsex at right now.
You launch a meme coin, right? And you raise 600 million in real assets for it.
10x.
You try pump that, bro. Try pump that.
He only spent 20 million to do it, bro.
Yeah, but
that's been peanuts.
You gave 600 mil value.
He told everyone that he didn't need anybody. He's got enough money to pump it by himself. He literally told everyone this. So why is he begging for marketing and people to come buy it now? No, fat man. You didn't need anybody, remember? Do that shit yourself.
Almighty,
all right?
you better chill out.
Stop,
I'm
bro.
sorry. I say fat man in like a loving, like I would want to give him a hug, you know? Like he gives the best hugs for sure. Titties all on my face, everything. I love it.
You rub his scratchy little beard on you, on your little twink, Almighty.
Listen, Richard says it's a Red Bull. I believe it. All right. Anyways,
Well,
I'm gonna go watch a
next
movie.
time you come speak in my spaces, you better show me a better A game. I know you got one.
Yes, ma'am. I'll show you something way better next time.
Yeah, because that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
Not your Red Bull can, bro.
Whoa. All right. It's not a Red Bull can. It's more like a monster can. All right,
You got an F tonight. You got an F tonight for your grade. Okay.
Are you gonna punish me?
No, I'm done.
I'm just kidding. You guys have a blessed night. Richard is Jesus, even if he doesn't want to be. So send us to Valhalla, sir. Thank you.
Or never say that again. You'll go straight to hell, bro. Just don't say that.
Richard is Jesus.
Richard is a badass, guys. I don't care what anybody. He is the best man in crypto, hands
Amen.
down. There is no second best, and that's why you're here. That is why you're here tonight,
Amen.
and you know it.
It's true.
He's done pretty good. He's done pretty good. It's just a lot of people are like trying to find the reason why the chart's down, and that's what happens if you just raise 600 mil. So
I'll never forgive Richard for convincing me that I was a retard for buying ETH instead of Bitcoin before he pivoted. That one really got me.
Bro, the ETH Foundation website said we don't recommend buying more than 1 Ethereum.
Wait, does
Back
it really?
when it was $12. I have screenshots. Yeah.
Really?
Thank you guys for encouraging me to buy half to 1 Ethereum in your official documentation. Not even in the documentation, on the screen for the wallet.
But ETH was like $13 to $23 somewhere in there when I wrote a whole paper on why Ethereum is so much better than Bitcoin. And then I watched Richard Hart and he's like, you're an idiot if you like ETH more than Bitcoin.
The Ethereum Foundation really is the worst. Zero respect for those guys.
That's why we forked them, bro. We got better colors. We got a better leader.
Exactly. I was like, he doesn't bull post so he can dump on your head after the bull post.
Let's collaborate and work on this list together. If anybody else wants to come up and speak and help us work on this list, let me know. You know, the Grand Inquisitor, I've never talked to him before. I've never seen him in a space, but I thought that he gave one of the best comparisons I've seen. He said, Richard Hart has what Elon Musk wants. Elon wants high throughput, low fees, and no electricity waste. And Richard built that. Pulsechain is faster, it's cheaper, it's greener, it's more decentralized. Richard forked Ethereum and kept everything good while he fixed everything that was broken. And true or false, Giga, but would you say that Pulsechain is one of the only places on Earth where wealth can be stored beyond seizure?
Yes, but there's a caveat.
Okay, go for it.
It's the only place where it's one of the only places where you can store wealth without seizure from a government, technically, and directly from anyone, yes. But Ethereum is also capable of that, but only Ethereum coin. As we're on Pulsechain, you technically could go into stables and it can never be seized because it's just a kind of IOU token. So it's a proxy token that's representative of another token. So USDC doesn't have any control over your USDC on Pulsechain. So yes, it is in that sense. You can come to Pulsechain with stables and Tether can't freeze your money. You could swap it into Ethereum, bridge the Ethereum out, and go about your day if you wanted.
So technically, Pulsechain is the most decentralized blockchain in existence.
I'll just say yes.
Okay, so we have that.
There's a lot of little nuanced things here and there, but
yeah, it really would depend on how you define
Panos is giving me the thumbs down, but he can't talk anyway because he's at the airport. So
he's gonna call it.
Panos says no.
Controls all the coins and the validators.
Okay, but let's talk about that too. But the difference between, let's say, Richard Hart versus Vitalik, Richard Hart is the only major founder in crypto who does not give himself a founder allocation to dump on his investors' heads, whereas Ethereum always famously dumps. And to me, that alone puts Pulsechain in a completely different category.
Sure. Don't do it, Giga.
Well, no, I'll say this. I'll say Richard Hart, there's an OA wallet that controls massive amounts of power in this ecosystem. And he has proven, so I'll say this, over the years, he has been capable of taking away hundreds of millions of dollars, and he hasn't. And these wallets are very easy to track, and the actions of those wallets have never been detrimental to the chain. They've only ever been positive. So some people might say, oh, it's like some kind of pig fattening scheme. That's what we used to hear back in the day, but we're way beyond the point. If he wanted to steal all of our money, well, the Sacrafice already has it for one. But for two, you're beyond the point of like him needing to ever extract from the chain directly. And like there's a lot of debate. Like if he died, it's like, okay, you know, technically now no one has control of all that supply. And yeah, I don't know. Like I don't think that there's any way you can ever be completely trustless from the perspective of a chain, especially a young chain. Over time you can become more and more, but there's still going to be, you know, supply dynamics that are not alterable, that could, you know, like you have Satoshi, right? We don't know if Satoshi's still alive or not. He could send Bitcoin to zero 100 times over. These are the kinds of things that we look at, and you just go like, oh, what's my risk metric? We have a billionaire. He has a chain. He's never sold coins. He's pretty easy to track. Or you have a chain with Vitalik. It has more innovation going on it, maybe, perhaps. It has more developers, but it has a foundation that tells you it's not going to make you rich. It doesn't want to make you rich. The founders are going to sell on your head. And the primary use case for it is centralized entities creating stablecoins on it. So there is an argument to be made that there's definitely, you know, a division of I guess, the view of the world between these two things.
And I must confess, like, I get a bit uncomfortable when a lot of people say that the whole reason they're here, the whole reason they're investing in any of these core coins or in the ecosystem at all is because of Richard. Because my thoughts on the matter is, like, we're not going to have Richard forever. And if you're depending on the founder to be constantly doing things for the benefit of the chain in perpetuity, haven't we kind of like missed the whole point of crypto? Like at a certain point, this thing has to stand on its own, and it can't be depending on a charismatic founder constantly marketing it, and it can't be dependent on buybacks, even if it's just enough buybacks to get the green candles going and everything. So when I look at, to answer the question, like why I say Pulsechain is most undervalued or what attracts me to it, the founder is 0% the reason why I invest in it at all, because I didn't even know anything about Richard Hart when I first got my hex. The reason, like what really attracts me to it and keeps me here is just that it's incredibly low priced for what it's capable of doing and how easily it's capable of doing what it's capable of doing, because so little is available to buy. When we take a look at like liquidity on the chain, Giga, you said it earlier that the sacrafice for Provex is like roughly the same size as the liquidity on the chain.
Pulsex, basically, at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So it would take very little money to get Pulsechain moving and Pulsex moving, and that money can come at any time. And
problem is all the coins are sitting in people's
snowballs too. If like he says, no snowflake believes it's responsible for the avalanche. Well, no little green candle knows that it's going to be the catalyst that brings about larger green candles.
Yeah, I think it's fine, and I think it's reasonable to be here without expectations from Richard and stuff. I do think that there's a critical period with anything, whether you're trying to like kind of bootstrap an idea or a movement or a chain, that you have this charismatic figure driving, you know, who's at the wheel, actively steering this thing in the right direction. And I think that that's fine if over time that phases out. I think the difficult part with Pulsechain and the difficult part since it's been founded is that we haven't been able to have that because of like the legal situations that he did have, and still has, you know, one. But I think that that's something that's very quick to pivot. And I will admittedly say, like, I mean, I've been bullish on Pulsechain since it's come out, and it's technically only been down. But you know, I mean, it's chopped around, right? There's been plenty of trading opportunities, and I've made money. But for the large part, you know, all of that bullish sentiment goes down the drain when someone asks me, you know, hey, why did you make me buy this thing? Look at its price now. And I go like, I really truly believe, I look at wallets, like I said, like John Wicks and other just massive whales in this ecosystem, old hex sharks. And I go like, look, the reality is like even Rackham's top Sacrafice wallets, these guys have virtually no money, relatively speaking, left. They have a couple $1 million left on chain at most. Like almost all these wallets have cashed out, they've gone, and we're all sitting here. I'm pretty sure most other people here would reasonably value Pulsechain at Sacrafice rate because that's what we paid. So I go, this is massively undervalued. You have thousands of people here, at least a couple thousand, who value this thing at a rate that's 10 times higher, 5 to 10 times higher than it currently is. We have hundreds of builders. You have a founder who's just waiting for the opportunity to be able to step up and waiting for the, the macro kind of economic situation to be slightly better. And I think everything else is in place. You just need to wait for those things to line up.
Yeah, I think it's all about momentum at this point. And I think Richard can see firsthand just how hard it is after such a capitulation, right? Even people having to forcing people to blow the bottom out to sacrifice. I think he's seen how hard it is to flip momentum back bullish, especially when, the main market is tanking as well, right? So Bitcoin down, ETH down, whether those wallets or whatever we saw, last week were him or not, I think it's a momentum issue, right? So everyone was saying, we were in a VC like last week, and everyone was saying the only thing left to do is to flip the conviction from like you've got to panic and get out as fast as you can back to like, oh shit, this could actually do something, right? So like whenever you see a pump, the first thing people are running to do is I don't want to give that back again, right? But if that pump were to continue, at what point does that scale flip, right? What point does the seesaw tip? And everyone's like, oh, like it gets high enough to a point where people stop just taking profit. They're like, oh, I might actually just hold this because they're feeling quite good again, which is obviously the trap, right? Which most people fall for, and that's why they never take profit and give it all back. But that's the point, right? You're supposed to feel, okay, this is good. This is going up. I don't need to panic and sell and secure a next year of maybe a bear or whatever. So yeah, flipping momentum is, like Giga said, is the next thing, right? Maybe ETH gets a little bounce. Maybe Bitcoin taps its 104. Maybe alts get a little push. And then, if those wallets start doing little things again, you get this momentum on chain again where you're like, oh, are we back? And yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay, some other notes that I have. Pulsechain needs far less capital to become a validator, and validators are more globally distributed. Doesn't have an off switch like Solana and other networks. Tokenomics favor buyers now because of the low liquidity and the high inflation. Historically, that's the best time to buy. And like Giga said, Pulsechain is trading at roughly 1/5 of the average sacrifice cost. So for value investors, that's massive. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that motivates me to work as much overtime as I possibly can. I mean, seriously, what an opportunity. It's insane to me. And the more I see these big guys getting out, like just the more bullish I get for the future of Pulsechain. I personally don't have any doubt whatsoever in Pulsechain. I feel safest with my money in these assets. And I really don't foresee myself ever leaving. I can't imagine ever buying Ethereum or Bitcoin or really anything ever again. That's just me, obviously. But I had some other notes. Other garbage L1s like ADA have 30x higher market caps. And what are some other notes that I thought were good points? Sorry, I kind of have my notes all over the place at this point. But I really do think that the fact that Pulsechain is borderless, it is outside of government reach. No court, no agency, no government can get to them. I think that's actually a really big deal that we should be focusing on for onboards. The Prairie Banana was the one that I was talking to about this, and he had a really good point. Like, if you miss paying your property taxes, you lose your land, or if you miss your car registration, you lose the privilege to drive. and not that I'm encouraging anybody to do this, but if you go to prison, you literally almost lose everything. But if you self-custody on Pulsechain and you remember your 12 seed words, like, it's yours. And I find a lot of comfort in that myself. Of course, I've had my money frozen in banks and centralized exchanges a few times at this point, and I didn't realize how important this was until I experienced it firsthand. But I think as more people get their money frozen in crypto, and the more people get into crypto and they see the bad parts of centralization, I think that will be what brings people into our ecosystem. I mean, I know it certainly did it for me. I was in every other ecosystem and I avoided Richard Hart because everybody told me that he was a scammer. And it really took me almost losing everything in FTX and Celsius to genuinely appreciate how hard he was fighting for us, and that is where my loyalty comes from. There's no way that man saved me from losing everything to scam me, like there's no way. And I trust him. And I do understand what Cairo was saying about that we shouldn't be focusing on the founder. And I can go really any direction with it. But I don't know. I feel like the founder does play a significant role in these assets. Just like, people that invested or trusted Tesla, they didn't invest in batteries. They didn't, like that wasn't what made Tesla successful. It was Elon Musk. And same thing for Amazon, right? Like people didn't invest or Amazon didn't become what it did because of warehouses. It was because of Jeff Bezos. And I feel the same way with Richard. People are really underestimating him. And he could not control the global market. And he's learning too, just like we all are. But I believe that he has good judgment. And I believe that he's in it to win this more than anyone else. I believe that it kills him for his charts to look the way that they are right now. But I think it was necessary to flush out enough people and to go along with the global market until the time is right. I mean, how many times has he told us that the market will humble you? But I mean, the man has been building and he's been working on things. I know some people don't think that the marketing, the mailers were a good idea. And we really won't even know the significance of that until a year or two out, really, or 6 months at least. It takes time for marketing. But I just think people are giving him way too hard of a time and they're underestimating him. But that is good for people like me because nobody's going to see it coming. So many people have given up. And that is the best time to buy. And that's why I'm so motivated every day. And I can really go on and on and on forever. So somebody better come back up and take the mic from me.
One of the most bullish things that could have happened for not just the short term, but the amount of units that people sold out the bottom of the chart there to sacrifice is crazy. I don't know, Giga, you know the Solve guys? They did like a quick analysis on how much of that was probably cause. Wasn't it like 3.8 mil blasted out the bottom?
Yeah, initially. It's actually like, it was much more later on, I think, after the video.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, so if it's near 5, yeah, $5 million a course blasted out the bottom when, a couple weeks before it was worth $10 million. That's awesome. That's really, really good. So, yeah.
We have Ron Smith's hand up. I don't think I've ever met you before, Ron. Welcome.
Hello, how you doing? I'm new to Pulsechain. I've been here for the last couple months. I've been slowly moving some of my portfolio from the bigger exchanges to Pulsechain, and I'm enjoying the community. I think there's a great community here. I guess my question, and I guess really thought, is what can we do to help change the sentiment of Pulsechain, and are we being active in doing that and trying to move forward and help? Because Pulsechain has probably the biggest community around the crypto that I've ever seen, and love them or hate them, they're all great people. They all bring something different to the table, and I think if we all get more proactive to try to work together to push, Pulsechain as a network out into our family, friends, coworkers, acquaintances and stuff like that. What are we doing and what can we do to possibly help that?
Well, first off, thank you. Welcome tonight. And we are excited to have someone new in the community. I agree with you. We are the best, strongest, and most diverse community in crypto. And yeah, you have some great points. I personally believe we all have our own unique attributes that we work on. And I think being authentic is the most important factor, at least for me, with onboarding and education. I never go out of my way and sell Hex or sell Pulsechain. I try to solve other people's problems. And I think it's important to listen to people and to connect with people right now and build rapport and build trust. It is more difficult to onboard people when our charts and the sentiment is the way that it is. But I think that it also kind of depends on who your audience is, obviously. But I think being a good role model, like for myself, I try to back my words with actions. And I try to be consistent. I show everybody that I know that I'm very excited about this opportunity that I have in front of me. And I mean, even my family knows I'm not doing Christmas this year. Hey, I'm buying Hex. I'm buying future Christmases. I'm buying, the present. The presents are the future. And when I'm truly excited about that, I think that that becomes contagious, or at least people are more drawn and interested in learning. They may not bite right away, but eventually with time, people are like, you know what? I want to learn more about this. Or, hey, maybe I'll put in $50 or $100 or whatever. But I think right now, the most important thing we can do is working on our own story and building our own confidence and knowledge, and being prepared for the masses to come in when they do, because I do believe that they will. I think that my phone is going to be blowing up nonstop when Hex hits 10 cents, maybe sooner than that, just because of all of the seeds that I've planted for the last few years. I think it's going to be incredibly easy to sell Hex when we see all of the green candles. It is more challenging to sell it now, but this is the best time. This is the best asymmetrical opportunity. But even just seeding that in people's heads, and then they see it maybe go up, 1 or 2x, and then they might get in, at that time. I think everybody is different. And, but yeah, I think just being authentic and working on your own growth is where I would focus my efforts. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
I really appreciate the level of conviction that Tam Tam has, and I see her as an awesome example of the very best of this community. For onboarding, I think it'd be okay for me. I think it's okay with Tam Tam if I show a post I made today where you can get a physical coin that can hold crypto, and I've used a Pulsechain or an Ethereum coin to onboard everybody from Jordan Peterson to Hawk Tua into Hex and Pulsechain, and so for a really limited time, I'm selling these again. There were like 1,000 of them made, and so I'm selling them for like 20 or $25 before the holidays, because even back in 2020, I had given a lot of family members for Christmas like $100 worth of Hex on a physical coin, and that's a way to onboard people that doesn't require them to understand it right away. But a number of them really did want to understand it, once their coin was worth $5,000. Once Hex did a 50x from there. So that's kind of a cool alternative method. And it comes with a guidebook on how to onboard people. So you're actually giving people a physical instruction booklet that explains how to buy Pulsechain and Hex and all that good kind of stuff. So
I think this point right here might be the great turnaround. They just ended QT around December 3rd, I think, and basically I was looking at the chart of Ethereum. And if you guys pull up the chart of Ethereum and you just look at between 2020 and 2024, and then just I started asking Grok about when did quantitative easing start and when did it end. And you can see when quantitative easing started, it was March of 2020. And if you look at the chart, you can just see it right there at March. The chart just starts turning, upward in a grand scheme. And as soon as they started quantitative tightening, that was at November of 2021, and then you could just see the chart just drop like a rock. And so, we've been doing QT ever since 2021, and they just turned it off like 12 days ago. So, I really truly believe this is the beginning of the great turnaround. And then also the AI was saying that the purchasing of bonds are going to peak in April. And I'm like, all right, that's 2021 when we had that huge April spike that everything we thought that was going to happen in 2025, it's probably going to be pushed back a year, and we might get a huge spike up in the prices this April of 2026, and then it's going to start tapering down, and then we'll probably have another huge spike in November, and it's just going to be a year late. And if everyone knows about the Benner card, BENNER, it says the years to get rich is going to be 2026. And it's just going to be very funny when that actually aligns up. So, like I said, I think we're at the great turnaround, and I think next year I think it's going to be amazing, especially when we get the new Fed chairman in there. He's a big Coinbase guy, and he's going to pump the crap out of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And when that happens, we have an OA with an extremely large amount of ETH that could help pump up the chain once every 4 years and make it look amazing. So I'm excited. I'm really excited. I'm super bullish, and I bought some more crypto in the last week. So I'm pumped. I'm ready to go.
I'm pumped with you, Briss. I am so grateful to be here with all of you guys tonight. We're going to have a great future. All of us that are still here, really, I would never want to be anywhere else than with this community. You guys bring out the best in me. And I've learned so much from each one of you guys. So it's really an honor to have you guys all here tonight. Thank you so much.
And what I
Wow,
like,
you got the heart
about the
right there.
deafening silence after my little speech is that there's no one saying there's no counterpoints. Everyone's like, okay.
Well, it looks like Ron has his hand up, so maybe he has more questions.
Well, what I was going to ask is, as a new person in the Pulse chain, what advice can the long-time holders give to a new person coming into this space, and what coins should we be focused on more than others?
If I could go a little bit, my only advice is take the profits in the bull run. If you're looking at a 100x or more, take some profits. Don't just take screenshots because
But Briz, if he does it, then I can't.
That's right. Take screenshots. Don't take profits. Show your wife the screenshots. Look, this is how much imaginary money we have. And then let everyone else exit. No, I'm just joking. As for which coins, 4 core. I think those are going to pump the hardest. Um, the market caps may be high, but the market caps don't mean shit. It's all about the liquidity. You know, each of the four core has less than $2 million of liquidity. I think Inc. has less than $1 million of liquidity. And so when the money does flow in, the the price impact, the slippage is just going to jack up the price of all the cores. Um, like I said, I really don't think the market cap matters. The market cap is just potential sell pressure, and it doesn't really indicate the correct amount of sell pressure, in my opinion.
When you say four cores, you're saying PLS, PLSX, and Hex, and Ink. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? Consider the four core coins.
correct.
Okay. Okay. I
And
currently hold all four of those, and then I'm playing around with a few, and then I've been messing around on pump tires, and I actually hit a good. I caught Ponzi the other day before it bonded, and I did pretty good on it. So I cashed out a little bit today, so my profits anyway. So.
And Provex is, I think, it's going to be great too. It depends on when it launches. If it launches like really soon, then it's going to be launched into the bull market. I think it's going to moon. I think it's going to do great. But if it doesn't launch for another like a year and it gets released into the bear market, it's probably not going to do great until the next bull market. So it just kind of depends on when it launches, but it can do just as good as any other coin of Richard Hart's.
Hextech has his hand up.
Hey, I figured I'd follow some protocol. Hey, good to see everybody here. Good to see you, Briz, Maddie. I just wanted to say, like one point, kind of, I'll bounce off about 3 points, make it quick. But one of the things Maddie had pointed out about the physical coin. So back when I first got into crypto, my first crypto obviously was Bitcoin. I heard about Bitcoin from Andreas Antonopoulos in one of his YouTube speeches, and the race was off for crypto. But just to kind of give people perspective, because it's really easy to get short term, myopic, feeling like that monkey in a rowboat in the middle of a lake someplace. Is I had bought 3 Bitcoin November 4th, 2016. That was my first purchase at $634 per Bitcoin. Now, I did subsequently go and buy more, but at that time, and I told all my family about Bitcoin, and all my coworkers and everything, kind of like I do with Hex at this point, although I don't talk to my coworkers currently because I'm instituting the gray man theory now that I've moved to Texas. Um, but I stowed away 1 Bitcoin for my niece and 1 Bitcoin for my nephew. So my brother thought it was a joke for Christmas. That was November 2016. Probably not laughing so much now. They're going to like Uncle Scott when he dies. That being said, is the fact that like Hex right now, or PLS or PLSX. I mean, the points like Brizology was making about the liquidity, how much it really takes to really start sending things quote to the moon, or at least get you above sea level, so to speak, depending on when you bought in. Um, this is the hardest part of the market, but the benefit that I've adopted, from my old term investing, I was a big student of Warren Buffett, is the mindset principle of, what's your hold time? Unfortunately, the crypto hold time is about 7 seconds in the mentality structure, so that, and panic sell on the way down. It's hard for people. And hey, just look at the markets right now. I mean, back in October, the government was shut down. Anybody who was relying on, I call them, my ex-wife used to call them scratchaholics. They would come in and buy those scratch-off tickets. And that's how people buy crypto a lot in the retail space, is the fact that, SNAP benefits were gone. So people had to allocate the money they actually earned towards food because they weren't getting free food from the government. It's a fact of life. Um, Things are tight. We're in Christmas season. People are buying Christmas presents instead of crypto. That's a reality, as was pointed out by Briz. Hey, the quantitative easing just started, and it's a drop in the bucket right now. This is really not. Once they get the money printers cranking and the liquidity hits, and then people start getting their refunds. So that Q2, Q3 estimate, I'm a big proponent of that, but I was a big proponent of that back in April of this year. And, it seems like it's kind of proved itself out. The biggest thing is, get a bag, figure out what you can hold it for, don't overspend. And it's amazing because, Bitcoin was great, but Hex is, what kind of made me a multimillionaire. I mean, bottom line. And I've always been a proponent of, hey, brown tree, green tree. We're in the brown tree right now. There's no harvest. Green tree, don't take a screenshot, take some profits. I'm of the mindset of take what you need and leave the rest. And that's why I love Hex, because the ladders, the staking ladders that I have that go out until I'm 67 years old, hey, they're just there. I've never emergency end stake, and I had no intention of doing so. I'm willing to let it ride. But just hearing the conversations, one of the things that really struck me is the fact that how little of X's really need to send, my bags to Valhalla, because I'm still buying. Coming tomorrow, I picked up, a weekend gig chefing because of the fact that I'm bored and I don't really know a lot of people here in Texas right now. So yeah, I mean, I'm still grinding and I'm still saving, and that's the best thing to do. Tighten the belt, put the coins in the purse, and wait for a sunshiny day.
If I could just chime in one more time, Richard kind of he really spelled it out for us already during that interview with Eric Wall, where he just basically says, what if I collect a bunch of ETH and it does like a 40x, and then I bring it back to my chain? He's like, I bet you I can put in a lot more than I took out. And that's him right there, just kind of spelling it out. Like, this is the plan. Take the ETH, wait for it to increase, and then bring it back. And at $10,000 ETH, which I don't think is very out of this world, I'm expecting ETH to go to at least 20,000 this cycle. But at 10,000, he's going to have, 1.7 billion. And he could bring in $10 million a day, every single day, for 4 months straight. And that would only be $1.2 billion. And just imagine after the first 2 weeks of bringing in $10 million every single day. Imagine how many whales and just regular people who just want to get out would be out within the first 2 weeks, not realizing there's another 3.5 months of this epic bull run coming. I'm not saying that's what Richard Hart will do, but I'm just saying that's like a possibility of what he can do. And, I don't see why he wouldn't do it if he could. And all we're waiting for is a $10,000 ETH. That's all we're waiting for. So I'm willing to wait a long time for this.
And really, waiting for this is nothing in time compared to all of the other options out there to acquire wealth, right? Like, takes you 7 years to double your money in, the S&P 500. I mean, or it takes you 30 or 40 years to be invested, in a pension or, some kind of retirement fund. So, I mean, this is nothing when we talk about time. This is the easiest route to wealth that I have ever seen in my life.
100%.
And
If
I'm just
even if
so
we're making
grateful.
like sorry, even if you're making like 10% a year, which is like a good return, you have to wait 10 years just to double your money. So, to wait like 4 to 5 years to make the kind of returns that are possible, it's like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, and Tam Tam mentioned about the asymmetrical bet. I mean, anybody, one gentleman who's just getting into the chain, I mean, anybody getting in now at this point, I mean, you can argue over peanuts, but you're pretty much scraping the barrel at this point. So, wherever the, asymmetrical bet lies, this is a, what, in my own humble opinion, is a great opportunity.